Good morning, friends. Welcome back to She's At It Again. My name is Tanya, and you've read the title of this. I'm not telling you anything new. We are making baked beans from scratch, and we're going to start with dry beans. Last night, I already soaked these overnight, so these have been soaking for a good 12 hours or so. We're going to rinse them off, put them in fresh filtered water, and we're going to put them in the slow cooker to cook first of all. I'm going to show you the process after these beans are done, but for right now, we have to cook them a few hours. You know the drill. We're going to cook them out on the front porch because it is warm and humid in Arkansas. And we are not going to fight our air conditioner with a hot appliance sitting in the middle of the kitchen. So we're going to rinse these off, put them in the slow cooker and get them to cooking, and then we'll show you the rest of the process. It's not that hard. It's just a matter of waiting for the things to cook. So no more canned pork and beans, and then you add barbecue sauce to it, and there you go. There's baked beans. These are a little different. Let's go. This is what our beans look like after soaking for about 12 hours. I put 3 cups of dried organic navy beans in this bowl, put super hot water in it, and it soaked overnight, and you can tell how much they've expanded. It's almost, it's right at 6 cups, so they've doubled in size. 3 cups equals a pound of navy beans. This is my slow cooker. This is my 3-quart slow cooker. It does not have a warm setting on it, but that's okay because I'm going to cook these on high anyway. Okay, this is how full this is, but I'm going to add filtered water. Just about that full. So, again, out on the porch we go. My doorbell would pick it up if somebody came and took them, and it's not that I would stop them from taking them. Well, I could if I yelled over the doorbell, "What do you think you're doing?" But nobody has ever bothered these. Even there was some flies flying around something I was cooking yesterday, that pork shoulder, and they never came near it. They got about a foot from it, and they were like, no, that's too hot. So nobody's going to take this. No cats. My husband even asked me when he came home from work, "Why is that on the porch? There's a cat going to come up and eat that. It smells so good, even outside." And I was like, you think a cat is going to touch a hot slow cooker? Cat's not very smart. Okay, we're going to put these to cook for a few hours out on the front porch. So I'll see you back in a bit. We are over at the stove top, and I have my stock pot heating up. And this is just a shortcut. I could put raw onions and things like that into my baked beans once I get those in a casserole dish to bake. And you know the stories about people saying, "Oh, I cooked my baked beans for like 4 hours." And I'm thinking, what? You got your oven on for 4 hours? And this is normally in the summertime. Okay, that's not the way I do things. I'm not into that. So we're going to do a shortcut. We're going to pre-cook most of our items. So really and truly, all I have left to do once the beans get done is put this mixture that we're going to make together right here in with the beans, stir it up, bake it until it's hot. That's really and truly all there is. This is uncured bacon. I'm going to show you the package before I get too far and I forget about it. This is uncured bacon. This came from our local Kroger, kind of semi-local. I have to drive a few towns away. This is a 10 ounce or 12 ounce package, but I'm only using a little over half of it, so about a half a pound of bacon is what you need. I took the rest of it, put it in the fridge, and I'll cook it later. And I didn't cut it up into small pieces. So this is about half a pound of bacon, uncured bacon. This is what it's going to give that great smoky flavor. Plus, who doesn't love bacon? I mean, some people don't, but I don't think I know anybody who doesn't love bacon. All right, this is what this looks like in the pan. And I'm just going to stir it around a bit. We're going to add some other things to it, and this is going to be our sauce for our baked beans. This is my new favorite stirring spatula or spurtle. I got this when we were in Greece last summer, and it's made out of olive wood, and I wish I'd have bought like 5 of them. Well, no, I wish I'd have bought like 10 of them. Give 5 away and keep 5. All right, we're not going to cook this till it's just crispy and fragile, but I do want to cook it enough to where it looks like bacon instead of giant pieces of fat floating in the beans. All right, turn that heat up a bit. I'm going to go wash my cutting board. I still don't cook bacon like this. When I'm cooking like long strips of it for breakfast, I do not cook bacon on top of the stove any longer. I cook it in the oven. I actually have a video about how to cook bacon, and it's surprising how many people responded with, I never thought about putting it in the oven, and it doesn't splatter anywhere. It doesn't make your drapery smell like bacon. It's just lovely, and you can save your bacon grease, especially if you cook it on a broiler pan where the fat goes down below and it's not just sitting in the fat, but it crisps up so beautifully, and it stays straight, and it stays uniform. But this, when you chop it up, you got to cook it like this. All right, so I'll show you what this looks like now. Well, if I can keep from casting a shadow on it. That's about as done as we want it. It's not going to hurt it to cook a little bit more than that. But I'm going to add some onions to this in just a minute. I'm going to pour some of this grease off. Yeah, I'll pour some of that grease off and then we'll be right back. Okay, so I got close to 1/4 cup of bacon grease off there, and of course that will go into something. Never, 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 never throw bacon grease away, especially if it's uncured bacon and you're producing quality food. I think that's the first rule of being a Southerner. Always save the bacon grease. Okay, we have a whole onion here. This is kind of a large onion, and I don't want to put all of it in there, so I'm just going to put part of it in. And the rest of it will go in my frozen onion bag in the freezer. I had to have a pot this big because I have the 1 pound of navy beans that are going to be cooked, and I'll put it in here too. Now we're just going to cook our onions until they're transparent. I have a can of tomato paste, and we're going to add that. This kind just has organic tomato pulp and citric acid in it. It has no sugar in it at all. It includes 0 grams of added sugar. I always read labels, even if I buy something 2 years in a row. I always look at labels because they change labels. They don't send out an announcement and say, no, we've started adding artificial color, or now we add MSG to this, or now we add sugar to this. They don't tell you, so you just have to continually check. It would be shocking to think about what maybe my grandparents bought or my grandmother bought when I was a kid, the label for something, as opposed to then back in the 60s, as opposed to what it would say now. You'd be like, wait, is this even the same product? It would look completely different, I'm pretty sure. Okay, I'm turning the heat down just a little bit. This is a 6-ounce can of tomato paste, so around a half a cup. I think I made up this recipe a few years ago, so it's not like I even know what it would taste like any other way, but around a half a cup of tomato paste would be good. It's funny, the bacon kind of disappears when you put the tomato paste in there. Okay, turning the heat down quite a bit now. We're going to put about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard in there. About like that. Maybe a tiny bit more. That fond will start coming off the bottom if this sits in here on lower heat. It'll just add to the flavor. I don't know if you can see how I can scratch it off like that. It just releases pretty well after the food sits on there a while. All right, to this I'm going to add about a half cup of coconut sugar. This is my coconut sugar. My original recipe called for dark brown sugar, and this is my good substitute for dark brown sugar. It has, oh my goodness, it has such a fabulous fragrance to it. Next thing we're going to add is date syrup. If you'd rather use maple syrup instead of date syrup, that's probably a little more economical. This stuff is not cheap, I ain't gonna lie to you. And we need about a third of a cup of it. And this is my half cup measure, so I'll do almost all this. We need a little bit of fresh garlic in there. I'm going to get about a half teaspoon of just minced garlic. Like that. If you can see, I got a half teaspoon. Now I'm cooking my beans, like I said, out on the front porch. They're not done yet because I just checked on them right before I sat down to eat lunch, and right now it's about 1:30, so I finished lunch about an hour ago. But be sure and reserve your liquid, because when you're gonna kind of drain most of the liquid off and then add the beans to this. But if it's too thick of a mixture, and realize, you may be cooking this, if you're just stuck in your ways and want to cook this for 2 or 3 hours, that's totally up to you. It's not gonna change anything, except just, it's gonna reduce some of the moisture in it, but you'll want to keep a lid on it or a cover on it. But if you need more moisture in this, if you need for it to be runnier before you bake it, then use your liquid from cooking your beans. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the burner off on that. We also need 2 teaspoons of salt in this. And if you want to add a little bit less than 2 teaspoons, that's totally fine. But I found that 2 teaspoons is about the right amount for that. But you can always add more later, and you can add less. You're not going to take that salt out no matter how hard you try. We need about a teaspoon of black pepper, and I ground some pepper up yesterday, and there's close to a teaspoon in there of that. I used to add cayenne to this, and we found out that it was just a little bit spicy for some people, so I backed off and I don't even add it to it anymore. But you're free to add cayenne if you want it to be a little bit spicier. You can always put jalapenos in this, would be really good. But I like the sweet flavor of the date syrup and the coconut sugar along with the saltiness of the bacon. I just think it is a really nice flavor. All right, so what I'm going to do at this point, I've got my heat off. I'm going to let this sit here. I'll put the lid on it. I've got yard work to do, so I can't stay in the house even though I've been cooking since I got up this morning, getting stuff ready. And it's not like I'm making videos on everything. I made, of course, started this video, then finished off another one. But it's things like I always have pizza dough ready in the refrigerator, and I like for it to ferment for at least 2 or 3 days. Preferably on the 4th day. I can use it anytime after that. I don't even have pizza dough in there. I've just been blowing and going and trying to work in the yard, and I hadn't been inside enough. So luckily we have plenty of meals in there to eat, but it's a matter of I got to get back out there. I'm rearranging a brick patio. I'm moving a hand-laid brick patio that I did probably 20-something years ago, and I decided I wanted it in a different area in the yard, so I am picking up every single brick, moving it to an offset area so it won't be in the way, and then putting it back in the order that I want it in. I am losing my mind over the bricks. My knees hurt, and my legs hurt, and I'm walking on an uneven surface in the backyard because we have areas where we've taken the grass up, and then we've transplanted grass other places, and it's a particular kind of grass, so it has to go in the shade of the sun. It just, oh my goodness. It takes a toll on your legs. I'm feeling old. So anyway, okay, we'll come back when the beans are done, and I need to add it to this mixture, and I'll show you what that looks like when we stir it all up, and you'll go, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I can see what that looks like, baked beans now. So it doesn't look like anything right now. I mean, really, looks like nothing. So when we add the beans to it, it'll look really appealing, and you'll see what I'm talking about when I say this is probably what you need to go with. Ditch the canned pork and beans. Those are fun to eat when you're camping, cold, straight out of the can, but yeah, this is the goods. Okay, we'll be back when the beans are done, if I'm not too exhausted. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Our beans are done now. It is a little after 3:30 in the afternoon. This is our mixture that we cooked earlier, and you can see how thick it is. That's the bacon, the tomato paste, the onion, and just a few seasonings, and the coconut sugar and the date syrup. All right, so our beans have quite a bit of liquid in them. I didn't want them to cook dry because they're out on the porch and I'm not, so I can't really keep an eye on them. So, all right, let me get this set up so you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm just going to take and put the beans in here and not quite as much of the juice. You can always add more juice later. Now keep in mind, these beans don't have any salt or seasoning, nothing in them except for just water. And you might be asking, why don't you just pour the bacon tomato sauce into the beans? Well, because I have too much liquid in here. I figure this will probably hold the full thing. And if I wanted to in the end, if I didn't want to put it in a casserole dish and just bake it in the oven, I could put all this mixture back in here once I empty it out and just heat it up in the slow cooker. Truly, it's done. It's just a matter of heating it up. So there's no cooking it for 3 hours or ever how long people do that. Every once in a while I'll run across somebody who's into Dutch oven cooking or something, and they'll say, and I cooked my baked beans all day, and all they've done is open a can of pork and beans and added something to it, barbecue sauce, and cooked them all day long. And I'm thinking, does it make them better? I don't really understand the need for cooking it all day. If some of y'all know what that's about, please let me know in the comments, because I'm lost. I have no idea what cooking it all day has to do with anything. If the beans are done and the sauce is done, then it's pretty much done. Okay, I still have a few beans left in here, and I can always strain those out and get them. All right, I'll get those last few later on. Added just a little bit of that water that the beans were cooked in. And again, just make it as thick as you want. If you want it super dry, then by all means don't add any of the liquid. But if you want more liquid to it, if you'd rather leave the lid off, so some of them will be crunchy on the top. If you want to throw some cheddar cheese on the top of it, make it dry where the cheese isn't floating, then do that too. So it's just all up to you. All right, I'm going to strain those out and do that all, but I don't need to film that because common sense tells you how to strain things out. Okay, I'm tired from doing yard work. I'm going to strain these few beans. I put those in there. I'll put them in a casserole dish, and I'll show you what the final product looks like. Now, I'm not going to show it to you today baked off because I'm not baking it today. I'm waiting until I make this other dish with the components that I've been making videos on lately. Something really fun. So anyway, but I'll show you a picture of it in the casserole dish in just a minute. Okay, these are our baked beans, and these are ready to be put in the refrigerator, or you can bake them off right now. So later on, I'll show you a video of this whenever we put together our components for the last thing I want to show you. I hate to make it sound like a big deal, and then you get to the end and go, is that all it was? But I think it's fun. I think you're going to enjoy it. Anyway, recipe for this is in the description. Now, keep in mind, this is taken all day, but it's not like effort all day. You're just waiting for those beans to get done. Actually, I started last night, so, close to 24 hours it takes to get these done. But don't let that scare you off. Don't use the canned stuff. Don't use pork and beans. Just do them from scratch. It's so easy, and it really does taste quite delicious. I think you'll be surprised. Anybody that's tasted these has gone, this doesn't taste like my baked beans. Mine doesn't have this depth of flavor or something like that, They'll have some complimentary word to go with it. I think they're that good too. So recipe is in the description as always, and we look forward to sharing something again with you real soon. Thanks for joining us. Bye.